Hello, welcome to Speaking Better Clinic. I'm Coach Albert. I have been studying, working, and living in US since 1981. Over these 40 years, I have interacted with many people originally from India. They are my coworkers, my relatives, my friends, my fellow Toastmasters, and my neighbors. And I have noticed quite a few differences between Indian English and American English. I grouped these differences into 4 categories. 1. Vowels. 2. Consonants. 3. Word stresses. 4. Word choices. Today, I'm excited to share them with you to help raise your awareness. So, without further ado, let us get started. Our first word is C-O-L-L-E-A-G-U-E, coworker. We use it often at our workplace. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as colleague, with stress on the second syllable. And my American friends would pronounce it as colleague, with stress on the first syllable. Once again, there is no right or wrong, just different. Our second word is D-E-T-E-R-M-I-N-E, like decide. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as determine, with stress on the third syllable, with the last vowel as I. And my American friends will pronounce it as determine, with stress on the second syllable and with the last vowel of schwa. How interesting. Our next word is R-E-A-L-I-Z-E. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as realize, with stress on the second syllable. And my American friends would pronounce it as realize, with stress on the first syllable. Our fourth word is S-C-H-E-D-U-L-E. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as schedule, while my American friends pronounce it as schedule. There are 4 differences in consonants and vowels. Let us examine the differences between these 2 pronunciations in details. The Indian pronunciation of schedule, S-C-H, sh. E is at, D is the, U is ju, L-E is l. The American pronunciation of schedule, S is s, C-H is k, E is a, D is g, U is u, L-E is l. Our next word is I-N-F-O-R-M-A-T-I-V-E. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as informative, with stress on the third syllable, may. And my American friends pronounce it as informative, with the stress on the second syllable, for, F-O-R, informative. Our next word is C-A-R-E-E-R, a very popular word at our workplace. Our friends from India tend to pronounce it as carrier, carrier, with the stress on the first syllable, and the consonant of R becoming L. And my American friends pronounce it as career, career, with the stress on the second syllable. Note, in the past, I misunderstood it as carrier, carrier, like UPS, FedEx, so be aware. Our next word is DESSERT. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as desert, with the stress on the first syllable. And my American friends pronounce it as dessert, dessert, with stress on the second syllable. And please note that desert is a place, not food. Our next word is AREA. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as area, area, with a consonant of L, L. And my American friends pronounce it as area, area, with a consonant of R, R. Next is HEALTHY. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as healthy, healthy, with the consonant of H, he. And my American friends pronounce it as healthy, healthy, with the consonant of TH, TH. Next is EXPIRATION. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as expiration, expiration, with the vowel of I. And my American friends pronounce it as expiration, expiration, with the vowel of schwa, schwa. Next word is GESTURE. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as gesture, gesture, with the consonant of G. And American friends pronounce it as gesture, gesture, with the consonant of G, G. I have been a Toastmaster for 19 years, so I have heard of gestures many times, especially during the speech evaluations. Next is THOUGHT. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as dot, dot, with the consonant of D or T, or a sound between them. And my American friends pronounce it as thought, thought, with the consonant of th, th. Our next word is SUCCESS. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as success, success, with the stress on the first syllable. And my American friends pronounce it as success, success, with the stress on the second syllable. How interesting. Once again, there is no right or wrong, just different. Next is a sentence involving the word explain. My friends from India tend to ask, "Can you explain me this issue?" And my American friends ask, "Can you explain this issue to me?" Once again, there is no right or wrong, just different. However, some people may argue, "Explain me" is grammatically incorrect. Please be aware. Our next difference is a sentence involving the adverbs of back and ago. My friends from India tend to say, I was sick 2 days back. And American friends would say, I was sick 2 days ago. Next is a sentence involving the nouns of university and college. My friends from India tend to say, I went to university in US. And my American friends would say, I went to college in US. It is so interesting, isn't it? Next is a sentence involving the verbs of join and go to. My friends from India tend to say, I joined University of Michigan. And my American friends would say, I go to University of Michigan. By the way, University of Michigan is my alma mater. Once again, the choice of verbs is different. It's not right or wrong, just different. Our next difference is the word of literally. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as literally, with vowels of E and A omitted. This is very British. And my American friends would pronounce it as literally, with no vowels omitted. How interesting. Next is the word of provide. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as provide, with a W sound. And my American friends would pronounce it as provide, V as V. Next is the word of attribute. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as attribute, with the stress on the third syllable. And my American friends would pronounce it as attribute, with the stress on the first syllable. Next is a sentence involving the verbs of request and ask. My friends from India tend to say, can I request you to read it again? And my American friends would say, can I ask you to read it again? Once again, there's no right or wrong, just different. Here comes our final difference, quote. My friends from India tend to pronounce it as coat, just like coat, coat. It has no consonant of W. And my American friends would pronounce it as quote, with the consonant of W. Wow! We have finished 22 differences between Indian English and American English. Now, let me do a short summary. Over the years, I interacted with many people, originally from India. They are my coworkers, my relatives, my friends, my fellow Toastmasters, and my neighbors. And I have noticed quite a few differences between Indian English and American English. Some differences are subtle, others are obvious. Sometimes I misunderstood what they said. Sometimes I politely asked them to repeat. Because of my strong desire and interest in speaking English well, I thought I could help. I could help raising people's awareness. I could help people make easy adjustments. It is my sincere hope that we can all communicate accurately and clearly. Because these 22 differences are from my first-hand observations, it is quite possible that I made mistakes. If I did, please feel free to correct me. Once again, there is no right or wrong, just different. As always, I welcome your questions, concerns, or suggestions. Finally, I thank you all for watching.